and welcome back to Drill Sergeant's Time, the podcast where we talk about all things Army, basic training, AIT, and OSIT. I told you guys I was going to get a guest on the show. We did one run on Spotify, but we couldn't do them both at the same time, so we're doing it round 2 on YouTube. Okay, my guest today, Sergeant SGT Zenner. I have here one of my old soldiers from Fort Hood. He has been in the Army for a little while. He's an infantry mortarman like myself, and I'm going to let him talk about himself a little bit, and then we're going to dive into his experiences with basic training and what he's doing in the Army now. Without further ado, Zenner, let's hear it, man. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm stationed at JBLM, currently working on getting out or ETSing. Pinned 5 almost a year ago now, and just been living life. Living life, huh? How's JBLM? I mean, it depends on your aspect of it. It depends on what you think. It really depends on what your hobbies and stuff are. If you want to hike, fish, hunt, great. If you don't like the rain, you're gonna hate your life.
Yeah, that's what everybody hears. The rain is the worst part about it, and I can relate. Being in Hawaii, it rains a lot, but not like out there in Fort Lewis.
It's just a constant drizzle, man.
So you said you were an E5, so you're what? You're on strikers, right? Is that what you told me earlier?
Yep.
And you're a team leader, not a squad leader?
Yep. Okay,
and you've been striker heavy your whole career?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were with me at Fort Hood. That was your first duty station, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and your first interaction with me was whenever I took over Crazy Troop in 49 Cav, yeah?
I had seen you around, but yeah, that was like our first actual interactions.
Right. And you were my, what were you, my AG gunner on the tracks?
I was your 2-gun gunner.
Yeah, you were my 2-gun gunner with the Goon Squad, man. It was Howder, Walls, King. Who else was with us? Apodaco. I called him Hodge. I called Apodaco. What did I call him?
You called him Apodaco. His name was Apodaca.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll get back to that. Let's dive into basic training. When did you go to basic?
So my ship date was August 13th, 2018.
2018. So that was before the first 100 yards and all that stuff changed. So you didn't do the 22-week cycle, no?
No, I didn't.
No, you did the was it 14 weeks, 16 weeks?
Yeah.
So
I can't remember if it was 14 or 16, but yeah.
You were in 119 battalion, right?
Yeah.
And that's so you were there after they moved all the mortars, consolidated them over in 119. You remember your drill sergeants' names, yeah?
Yeah.
Everybody always does. What were they?
So we had senior drill sergeant who was Real, and then Cuevas, and then like I said on the podcast, I'm not quite sure what our last drill sergeant's name was because he left mid-cycle. Right.
And do you remember any of the people you were in training with? You always remember a couple of them.
Yeah. There's a few of them.
Did you end up ever serving with any of them, or running into them later on down the road?
So fun fact for you, King, right?
Oh.
I knew King. He was in 30th AG with me. He was on the same line. He was 2 people behind me in 30th AG.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Small world. I'm telling you, man. You my first duty station, I was in basic, or I was at Polk with 2 dudes I served with, and then I went to Italy with people I served with. I was a drill sergeant. You always run into them.
There was 3 people at JBLM that I came when I PCS'd here.
Yeah.
They were all here, and they're like, "Oh man, you're gonna love it here. It's so great." And I'm like, "It's great, but."
Well, a fun fact. When I came off the trail and ended up out here, my first week of being here in Hawaii, I was running down Lyman, and I heard somebody go, "Drill Sergeant," and it was one of my old trainees running down Lyman. I was like, "Oh my God, it's happening already." I've only been here for a week, man. All right, so tell me about your pickup day. How was that?
Hectic. Frantic.
Lots of yelling?
Yes.
Not so much of the whole follow me aspect, rather the drill sergeants are in your face. They're kind of intimidating back then a little bit, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
and you said that lasted for a couple days, right? Usually first 3 days are usually like that.
Yeah, I want to say it was like first 72 hours is what they say it's supposed to be.
Right, right. And
it really doesn't actually stop.
You didn't really do much fire guard those first couple days, right?
No.
Because the drill sergeants are waking you up in the morning at like 4:30.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like either 4 or 4:30.
Throwing trash cans down the hallway and bullhorns and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it used to be. It's still kind of like that. The first 72 now is it's a little bit watered down compared to the old Shark Attack, but drill sergeants are still out there, but they're kind of leading from the front per se. Like, hey, follow me. I'm gonna do the exercises with you. Like, it's really kind of you gotta have a taste for it. You know what I mean? But with that being said, you go right into red phase. Red phase. You got your team development course that first week. You got what else? What else is during red phase? The obstacle course, confidence course.
Yep.
Eagle Tower, gas chamber. Mm-hmm. Grenades are during red phase, aren't they? I'm pretty sure.
No, I think
white phase.
Those are white.
But you jump into, you do claymores. You do claymores. I remember that. Claymores was the first week or second week, one of the two. During red phase, you do claymores. But drill sergeants are very proactive. They're in your face. They're kind of private, not a lot of knife hands, stuff like that, and they're just very outspoken. And it doesn't really slow down until you get to about blue phase, I think. It kind of backs off a little bit when you hit the white phase because you get more into instruction on shooting. But in red phase, it's very deliberate, like private move here, now, etc. Because they're teaching you how to like move with a sense of purpose, how to how to be a soldier, essentially. Shower drills.
Function in the military.
Shower drills are a thing still. Get a lot of questions about that. Yes, you will have to shower with other men. You get blocks of instructions on how to shower, how to shave your face, where to apply deodorant and where not to apply deodorant, what not to eat, because people like to eat weird stuff nowadays. Tide Pods, bars of soap, stuff like that. Don't eat those.
Yeah, I had a dude threaten to put a Tide Pod in my camelback.
So, chow instruction. I'm brain farting the word right now. Just chow hall procedures. There it is. Chow hall procedures. Drill sergeants are screaming while you're heel toe, stepping, not touching the white tile. All that. You get
for those of you that are going into the Army, remember the food tastes better with your heels together.
Yes, don't step on the white tile. You get one milk, one juice, and your food tastes better with your heels together. Drill Sergeant E here would never let the privates use a spoon. That was my thing. You could eat with one hand. The other hand had to be in your lap, as if in the position of attention. And if I caught you using one or the other, I would scream, slap the tray, cause chaos. We actually had a kid we had two kids my last cycle who would not chew their food. And they would continuously choke themselves on their food. And then they would be the last ones eating because they wouldn't chew. They're like, Drill Sergeant, I'm just a slow eater. I'm like, Private, you better hurry the fuck up. You better hurry up because you only got 10 minutes. And if you don't eat, that's not my problem. That's what I would tell them. And then it never got better. And then one day, they just started eating. And the best part was when they graduated, their parents came up to me like, you're the Drill Sergeant that got my son to actually eat his food. I was like, yeah, that was me. Thanks.
You look so depressed.
Yeah. So red phase is over. You get into white phase, right? That's a lot of shooting. If you're a kid that's never touched a weapon before, what kind of advice would you give them?
Just listen to the drill sergeant's instructions, man. They give you blocks of instructions for a reason, and it's all for a purpose.
Right.
Everything that you're doing there is for a purpose. And that's the main advice I'll give anybody going to basic training.
And if you do know how to shoot, what would you tell them?
Again, just listen to the
brain dump what you know, because you're going to mess it up. Everyone that says they can shoot typically doesn't do so hot when we first get started, because military shooting it's just different. The way your pop taught you compared to the way your drill sergeant taught you, very, very different. It's crazy. But with that being said, like take what the drill sergeants say with a grain of salt, because they're going to yell at you a lot. But what they're saying is important to know, because it's going to improve your shooting, whether it's your positioning, whether it's putting your freaking cheek on the stock well, whether it's not touching the tip of your nose to the charging handle, because we don't do that crap anymore. just or you're slapping the trigger. Listen to what the drill sergeants say, because I promise you, what he's telling you is not crazy, and he's not just saying words.
When did they phase out the nose to the charging handle?
That's a thing, man. When I went through Master Marksmanship Trainer course, and so when you put your nose to the tip of the charging handle, it makes your sight picture a lot bigger, so it creates more room for error. So when you slide it back further and just get the chipmunk cheek, it makes it a really small little circle, and it makes it easier for the privates to.
I always hated that, like, the aspect of like having to put my nose in the charging handle. So I stop doing it.
If a drill sergeant tells you to put your nose to the tip of the charging handle, they're just old school and they just know how to shoot that way. Like me, I used to shoot like that, and then I went to an actual shooter's course. I was like, this makes sense. Oh my gosh! And then, I mean, I always shot well, but it actually improved my shooting. So listen to what your drill sergeants are saying, right?
Qualifying as well, I guess, huh?
Listen to what your drill sergeants say. They're gonna yell at you. You're gonna get yelled at. So don't be that guy that says, I'm going to fight a drill sergeant if he gets in my face. You're not going to fight a drill sergeant because you're there. You're getting paid to be there. You volunteered to be there. You're not going to punch him. And if you do punch the drill sergeant, you're probably going to get your butt kicked. I wish a drill sergeant or a private would have swung on me. I would have balled him up. But that never happened. Never happened. It came close a few times, but I got a story. So I get asked a lot, what's one thing I remember from my time on the trail as a drill sergeant? And I had a private. I'm going to use his real name because it just sucked. His name is Private Scraggs. Private Scraggs and Private, what was his name? I always called him Scone, but his name was something else, something along those lines. And these two kids, so Scone tried to quit early. He went AWOL during training, like no joke.
Oh, this is the kid who went AWOL.
Yeah, so no joke, dude. I used to make fun. I used to give the privates crap. I'm like, privates, if you want to leave, the road's right across over there. Kick a right, follow it to the bus stop. Don't come back. One morning, Private Scone takes the trash out, and he kept going. And I get the call because I'm on staff duty, and they're like, drill sergeant, Scone's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean Scone's gone? Like, he hit the road, man. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to spend a while looking for this kid. Come to find out, another drill sergeant picked him up about a mile up the road, dropped him off at the MP station. We had to pick him up, come back, right? So we actually talked him into coming back into training after he did his 2 weeks of extra duty. And Scraggs was like the platoon mascot, the kid that just really sucked, but we all motivated him because we're like, Scraggs is going to pass. Yeah, everyone cheer for Scraggs. And he got into it. We all thought he was going to do well. And when we get to qualification, the kid's shooting expert every time. Every time. Mm-hmm. Him and Scone both. And we get to RM18. It's the first event that if you fail, you can get recycled for, right? And they both quit the same day at the same time. I'm like, that was the moment that made me hate privates. I went from being the drill sergeant that was like, you can do it, to private, get the fuck away from me, man. After that, after those two quit, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I just spent the last 2 months putting everything into these two dudes to turn them into freaking soldiers, and now they're just like done. I was like, all right, cool. Privates suck. You're all dead to me. We're gonna get through this though. So they end up quitting. We ended up kicking them out, and then we fast forward to after Whiteface. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to clarify something. And I want everybody that's watching this to understand. When you get kicked out or dropped from basic training, and or you refuse a recycle, you don't leave immediately. No. You will more than likely sit there until graduation day. Because that was my experience. We had dudes quit, and
you're still there.
Sat there.
They're still on Sand Hill while y'all are leaving to go to your duty stations. You're still you're still there, and then we're sending you to a holdover company where you're going to sit for another God knows how long, while all your friends are going off to their first duty station. So if you're going to quit,
the fastest way through basic training is to
graduate. And you're going to hear your drill sergeant say it. And it's not to keep you in. It's just because they don't want to deal with you after everyone else graduates. Because if you're still there, drill sergeants still got to come to work when they're supposed to be having their time off to spend with their families. Just saying. So if you're going to quit, just don't join. Otherwise, try hard.
If you're second guessing it, I've loved my time in.
Yep.
I have my own reasons, personal reasons of why I'm getting out.
Sure, obviously. Everybody does.
And if circumstances were different, I'd probably stay in.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly love my job.
Right.
There's no greater feeling than knowing that, like, you know, what I am doing is for the betterment of America and the betterment of myself.
Right.
But honestly, like, there's a lot of aspects to why everybody stays in or gets out. But if you're questioning it, like, it's 3 years. It's not the end of the world if you sign a 3-year contract and you go.
Yep.
But don't quit.
Don't quit.
Like, if you ship, don't quit. You can quit all the way up until the day you ship. I will not judge you for that.
But if you ship,
but
you're
like
in.
everybody who's like told me, I've heard people tell me like, oh, I've heard that classic, oh, I'd punch a drill sergeant in the face so many times.
You won't.
I'm like, you would.
You wouldn't.
Like these are men and women who've been in combat.
Mm-hmm.
They have little to no fear of a private.
No,
like,
not at all.
You know, like NCOs in general, we have very little to no fear of a random private.
Not at all.
There's no threat there because like
correct.
I know I can handle myself.
Right.
And it's just that excuse of like, oh, I would have joined, but like,
yeah,
I love those because it's like, well, it's not that hard.
I know it's not.
Like,
do it, man.
Like, I have buddies that like back home, they're not really buddies, but like they're, you know, acquaintances, and they're like, oh, I would have joined, but I would have punched a drill sergeant in the face. And I'm always like, well, do it.
Sure.
Join.
Sure.
Punch that drill sergeant in the face.
Prove me wrong, bud.
Yeah, like just go do it.
Right.
Like I'm all about it.
Oh man. All right, so moving past that, you get through all the qualifications. You go into buddy team fires. First time you're moving and shooting. What's your experience?
So I had actually a really good partner for my buddy team fire. He and I worked really well together.
Right.
And then, you know, we had the 11 Charlie drill sergeant with us, and you know, he's sitting there and he's making sure we're not doing anything unsafe. But
right.
Like, the major thing that I would say is like that's a lot of fun. First off, second off, I will say this: be loud. If you're shooting, you have your pro in.
Yeah. It's a big one.
So when you think you're being loud enough, be louder.
Right. That's great. That's good advice, man. Cover me while I move. Yeah, all that whole thing. So you get through that. That's the longest 2-3 days for a drill sergeant. So the drill sergeants aren't going to be very approachable during this time because you're shooting until usually 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're back at it at 6 o'clock for morning chow and hygiene the next day, doing it all over again. So drill sergeants are going to be a little sleepy. Don't be messing with them. Okay. So you get through buddy teams, and then what? You start the forge. The 3 to 4 day event used to be, my first 2 cycles, we used to walk over 40 miles in those 3-4 days, right?
So I'm gonna cut in real quick.
Yeah.
We didn't do the forge after we did that. We just went into an FTX.
Which,
like we just
okay.
went to like which
but
like
that's the forge.
is essentially the same thing, but like it wasn't. We didn't ruck out there. We rucked back, but like we got the cattle trucks, went out there.
Okay. So that's one of the changes now.
Better for the drills.
Yeah, that's one of the changes now.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to see how even just a couple of years it's changed that much. You know what I mean? So you go from that to this. It's crazy because it used to be 40 miles. Like, no joke. One cycle we went 46 miles in 3 days, and it was rough. It was rough on me. So if it's rough on me, it's rough on the privates. And then the second cycle we went 43, and then the last 2 it was like 27 and 22 because they made us take trans more often. It was kind of bullshit, but it is what it is. Just some changes that happened. So the forge is where you do your battle march and shoot. You do your NIC, the net infiltration course, where you crawl under fire. You do a mass cal event where a bunch of people get dead, and then they have to get carried off to an exfil route. Blah blah blah. You do a grenade range, or I can't make words. A 203 range, and where you shoot grenades, and then a couple of you will get to do live. It's pretty cool. And then you'll either do like the obstacle course. You'll do maybe the confidence course, Eagle Tower, where you rappel, something like that. And that's going to end your basic training portion of it. But backtrack, during red phase, you are still doing the gas chamber. You are still doing a 2-mile ruck to get used to rucking. So advice on rucking, pack heavy stuff on top, right? That's what you told me on the podcast. Pack heavy stuff on top, and you ain't going to get to wear special boots. So break them bad boys in early. Take them in the shower with you.
Yeah, that's
break
what I was
them in.
Say.
Break that leather in.
Get them things fucking wet.
Yes.
Because that's the only real way to break in the basic training boots.
Make sure
as soon as you have the opportunity to buy new boots, get
do
new
it.
boots.
Do it. You'll get it. Usually they let you do it at Turning Green now.
Yeah.
Tape your straps down. Don't look like a bag of booty. Okay, tape the straps down so at least it looks decent. And know how to pack your ruck. That's a big one. Drink lots of water. You don't want that silver bullet. That's a big one. If people ask me for advice, I say drink a lot of water, because if you get that silver bullet, they're checking your core temp. They stick that needle up your butt, and it sucks. Can't say I've had it, but I've seen it.
I mean, I've heat catted twice in my career. You know that. The second time just so you know, it gets worse. The first time, when I say it gets worse, I mean it's worse reactions.
Yeah.
Like when I heat catted in Korea, I was in the ICU for 3.5 days.
Right.
With rhabdomyolysis, my kidneys were shutting down.
Yep. When you heat cat, you're more prone for the future. Yeah, that's true. And if you heat cat too many times, they'll drop you.
Get plenty of sleep before major training events. That's my main advice.
Eat your food.
I was notified way too late. Yeah, eat your food. I was notified way too late for the training event I was doing, and that happens sometimes. Sure. It's very rare.
It happens, man. I've heat catted a couple times myself, but I'm not going to go into that because Drill Sergeant, he doesn't heat cat, you know what I mean? Let's see. So rucking, we've hit rucking. What about the PT test? Tell me we didn't hit that on the podcast. Tell me about your experience with the ACFT, yeah.
So, look, the ACFT is good and great, but I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors for showing what's going on, because the APFT was challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah, the run
sucked.
Push-ups got a lot of people. If you're a fast runner, you suck at sit-ups.
Yeah, and
typically,
if you do a lot of sit-ups, you're gonna have a slower run time.
Yeah,
everything affects everything else.
Yeah,
and it's I feel it was a better way to show hey, this soldier's in shape.
Right.
Because I had on average, I think you remember this, I had a decent PT score
the
entire time I was at Hood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we switched to the ACFT, and I'm well, shit.
Now what?
Back to my so the leg tucks physically caused me
no more leg tucks.
Pain.
No more leg tucks.
Nope.
Now it's the plank.
The plank.
The 3-minute, 40-second plank.
Yep. Oh, the plank.
You think it's easy? It's not easy.
Oh.
Not many people are maxing the plank, man.
Shit about the plank.
Yeah. And you got the hand release so it starts off with the 3-rep max, the 3-rep max deadlift with the hex bar, and then we go into hand release push-ups, 60 maxing for dudes, and then from there you go to the ball throw. From the ball throw, you're hitting the hand release push-ups, and then you're doing the sprint drag carry, hitting the plank. Sprint drag carry is gonna humble you.
Oh.
It's gonna humble you.
The baby fawn legs on the
baby Bambi. Where's the Bambi legs, right? I love it. So we used to, as a drill sergeant, we used to watch for privates, and as soon as they start getting the Bambi legs, we start yelling, "Oh, Bambi legs, Bambi legs!" And when they fall, we go, "Boom, he's down!" And we'd all laugh. We'd make fun of you because they'd face plant it, they'd scorpion, their toes would hit the back of their head, and we'd be like, "Oh, you stupid!" But it happens. It happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a fucking sergeant, I still get the Bambi leg because, granted, my sprint drag carry time on average was about 1:30. It was max.
Yeah, which is max, yeah.
But if you push yourself that hard, you're gonna get the Bambi legs because
you're
moving, you're dragging, you're sprinting, you're
hitting muscle failure.
Every part of it, you're hitting muscle failure. You should hit muscle failure on PT test.
Yeah. You
should push yourself that hard.
And then after that, you go right into the run, and the run is a killer after you get the Bambi legs, man. But
21-minute 2-mile,
13:30 is a max for those of you that are wondering for the male standards. I can't tell you the female because I don't even know. But 13:30 is max, and if you are a slow runner, you got 21 minutes. Actually, it's 23, isn't it?
It's 21.
21 minutes, and it's changing. That's actually changing. If you're in a combat MOS, the scores are actually increasing for minimums. Back to that. That's changing soon. It should be. Yes.
I have a kind of a controversial take on the ACFT as
well.
With when it first came out, I know you remember this because you were still at Hood.
Yep.
When it first came out, we were like,
we hated it.
This is easy.
Yeah, we war gamed it, but it was stupid. We hated it.
Yeah, it was dumb.
We always hate new things. Yeah.
And then after that, they were like, "Oh, we're getting rid of all standard," and we're like, "Okay,
yep.
why?" And then now they've gotten the whole reasoning for the ACFT was to eliminate the age and gender gaps.
And now it's coming back.
And now it's back. And
exactly that. And it's job dependent too. So.
Mm-hmm. It was
But
supposed to be job dependent at the beginning, but
they're
like,
trying
now
to take
they
it.
went away with that. Now they're getting back with it, and I don't know.
They're trying to take it away and go back to the APFT. It's in Congress. They're trying to pass it. They want it to change. So in the next 4
They
years,
should go back to the APFT.
but
and that
it's going to be
would
called
bring a
something
lot of-
different. And all the money we spent on that is going to be completely wasted. Well, whatever. Whatever.
I mean, to be fair, like the APFT was solid. I
Yeah.
feel like when we were taking APFTs, I was in the best shape of my life. Now I feel like slow because
Yeah.
I'm not getting like. You remember my run times were like
Oh yeah,
13
it was
minutes
rough.
flat.
It was yeah. I feel that. I'm old, man. I feel the slow runs now. You know what I mean? 15 minutes is good for me. Not really. I run 13s. I don't.
He runs 18s.
I
Don't
don't.
let him run.
All right. So moving forward off the ACFT, right? So the ACFT, you're gonna do 5 of them. You should do 5 while you're in training. You're probably only gonna do 3 or 4, but you're supposed to do 5. Okay. So moving from that, you go into white phase, which is just a bunch more for infantry. You're doing a bunch more ranges. You're doing your fire teams, enhanced fire teams, advanced rifle marksmanship, where you're turning and shooting, stuff like that. And then you're getting into urban ops, your sticks lanes, FTX, and then you're doing your FTX. FTX is the culminating event that turns into the bayonet march, that goes into the raid, that goes into graduation. Okay, what is something you remember about the second part? For you, being in as an 11 Charlie, you spent a week at Mortar Square.
Yeah.
And then you did
We lived out there.
the Tree of Woe. That's about the Tree of Woe.
Oh, let's go.
Run to the Tree of Woe. It's like 150 meters. You got a low crawl, bear crawl, whatever. You get smoked for a week. Run to this stupid tree that's very dead that they called the Tree of Woe. And it's
if you look on it, you have initials from every mortar ever.
Yeah, it's
My
been there.
initials are up
I was there when I was there in 2012.
Everybody's initials are up
It's
there.
on.
And
It's on Google Maps. You can literally Google the Tree of Woe, and it'll show you exactly where it is. It's pretty funny.
and it's honestly probably one of my favorite things about being a mortar is the fact that
Not
that's
everybody
an
gets to see that.
experience. It's an experience, and
Mhm.
Mortar Square, like it's pay attention if you're gonna be a mortar, because like I've had a couple new dudes come into the army and they don't know shit about being a mortar.
Clueless.
They don't pay attention. They wanna like I don't know what it is with this generation, but like if I need to hold up fucking Subway surfers, I'll fucking do that. Just let me know.
So we get through Mortar Square. We get to FTX. What do you remember about FTX?
So my FTX was a little weird because by the end of it, right? I remember 2 things very vividly.
Okay.
I remember our 240 gunner and our 240 AG.
Yeah.
Like crashing basically, and they're like, "Oh, I can't carry this ruck," and I was like, "Fuck."
Oh yeah, you got to carry on the ruck.
And then I I trade them because I was a 249 gunner, so I traded the 240 AG. I was like, I'll take your ruck with all the ammo and then all the tripod and everything.
Right.
You have to take my weapon. And he's like, okay, cool. And then by the end of it, I'm carrying the
all
240 and all the ammo, and I'm like, dude, this is a crash. As I'm doing that, like I remember very vividly of I've never in my life been so tired where I'm standing up, walking, and falling asleep at the same time. When you start hallucinating because of how tired you are,
yes,
it's definitely a different feeling. But like again, it's one of those experiences that you wouldn't have experienced if you wouldn't have joined.
Right, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn how to sleep in places and ways you never thought imaginable. Like you're gonna fall asleep standing up. You might fall asleep on the pooper. Like you might fall asleep at chow. Like you're gonna be surprised at how many different places you can fall asleep, and it'll only be for like 30 seconds maybe, but you're gonna feel like you slept for 8 hours. It's crazy.
And what's funny is like if you're married, your wife's gonna hate you because you can just lay in bed and immediately go to sleep, or you can just sit on the chair, your couch, your chair, and you out.
Oh, awesome, man.
They're gonna be pissed because they're gonna be like, oh well, why can you do that?
Right.
Like, your spouse is gonna hate you a
So
little bit.
So let's go to graduation. Because I get a lot of questions about that. Okay, so after you graduate, how much family time do you get?
So, like we talked about on the podcast, apparently you guys have 3-day passes now for the privates.
Typically, yeah.
More time with their family.
Ish, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, 3-ish days. That's awesome because like when I came in, I had 24 hours before graduation.
Yeah.
And when I say 24 hours, I mean like 7 a.m.
And it depends. I say that loosely too. It depends on the cycle. We had cycles where it was just the day before, but then we had some where it was like a couple days. So
yeah, I mean, it just depends on how it works out.
Yeah.
But then after you graduate, when you like for me and for you, when you get that blue cord pinned on, like when you get your blue cord given to you, you have about a total of 15-20 minutes at max to spend with your family. You sit there, you talk to them, you say, okay, I love you guys, bye.
See ya.
And then you get your ass on that bus and you're off to your duty station.
Right.
And then you hit reception at your duty station.
Yep. And then it's back to being in basic training again, because you meet your team leaders, you meet your squad leaders, and they got to break you in the way they were broken in, and it just never ends.
The major thing that I will say is, like, if it's MLS related, don't brain dump it.
Don't.
Like, especially
remember
when you're getting at, like,
the basics.
Because the thing is like, some people would say, like, oh, this is toxic, but, like, the reason that team leaders and squad leaders do it, people who haven't been in those positions, like, the reason we test and ask our Joes what they know is so we know what we need to teach them.
Right, that's true.
Like, we ask them, you know, like, for example, for, like, Drill Sergeant E and I will ask them, like, hey, what's the max distance of a 120 millimeter?
And they should know that.
They should.
And if they don't know that, then it gets a little painful until they do know it.
Yeah.
The best way to learn is by doing things painfully in the front leaning rest. That's the best way I retain information.
Yep.
And when I study for college, I study in the No, I don't do that. I'm just kidding.
I mean, to be fair, you're not wrong. Like I said on the podcast, lessons learned in blood are not soon forgotten.
Right.
It's definitely stuff like, when it hurts, you're gonna retain the information 100 times better.
I love it, dude.
Like,
keep in mind what he's saying though. Experiences may vary for everyone. So some of you that go to like Jackson, some of you that go to like Leonardwood, different places are going to have very different experiences than Mr. Sergeant Zenner here, because he went through in 18, I went through in 2012, and I can tell you there's a lot different than his experience as well. We still did the pugils. We did the freaking
we did pugils
bayonet.
too.
We did the bayonet course where you're stabbing the freaking dummies, like that. Yeah, all that.
I wish we could have done the bayonet.
Yeah, I know. Like everything's
lit.
similar but different at the same time, if that makes sense. So keep that in mind.
At the end of the day, you're still going to be
the
same. You should come out of basic training the same disciplined, well-informed soldier.
Yes.
That,
but
like, you came out, I should have come out the same way.
You can't get lazy coming out, because you're there for 22 weeks, so you're going to get laxed. Keep that in mind when you get to your next unit, because he's got his experience from 2018. I got mine from 2012, and then my time as a drill sergeant from 2020 to 2022. So, like, the timelines are all different, but they're similar, but they're also very different at the same time, if that makes sense. So
the Army is an ever-changing beast.
It's always changing, but it's always staying the same at the same time. So on that note, though, we're going to cut it because we hit 32 minutes, and I didn't think we were going to go this long. But I appreciate you being on the podcast, Zenner, man. You're awesome. I hope you have a good ETS, man, and whatever you do after the Army, man, I hope you crush it. And, yeah, man, just thanks for hanging out, dude. It's good to hear from you. Nice to have a blast from the past, brother.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. I'm going to get out of here, buddy. If you guys need anything, let me know. Message me in the comments below what your questions are. Zenner, do you have a TikTok or anything you want to throw out there for them to follow you?
Yeah, IMA138.
IMA138 on TikTok if you want to check him out. If you have questions about the old school days, ask him. Old school is 2018. That's gross. But on that note, guys, I'm going to get out of here because I got to work tomorrow. And Zenner, he got things to do too, I'm sure. It's probably late as hell over there. So, again, thanks for hanging out with Drill Sergeant's time. On that note, Drill Sergeant out. Zenner, I'll catch you later, buddy.
All right, see you, man.
Yep.